Hi, IDS 410. I want to give you some real talk, huh? Now let's talk about topics real quick. I still have to look at your papers, your first papers. I've got about 51 of them to look at in two classes. I'll be done by tomorrow. So start looking for those scores. But before I get into what's going on then with my laptop's not charging. Before I get into details about that, let me just give you a general idea as you're working on, because I got a number of messages, which is great. Keep emailing me about clarifying your topic, narrowing down your topic, changing your topic. Wonderful. Let's have some good back and forth. I think those of you who already emailed me are probably satisfied where we went with this, right? Okay, so let's consider this again. First, like I tell people, the name of the course, Problem Solving for Social Change, okay? Problem solving for social change. It's not problem pointing for social commentary, and that's the extreme other side. That means as I sit back here as my armchair quarterback and I sit back and go, if these people would do this and if those people would do that and if the government would do this and if, we could solve a lot of stuff. That's not what we're doing, right? Problem solving for social change. So how do we do that? Do we ask an undergrad student or an undergrad instructor to solve climate change in 8 weeks? Do we ask you to solve the Israel-Gaza war in 8 weeks? Are we asking you to solve homelessness, gun shootings, school shootings, things like that in 8 weeks? One student? That's a big ask, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to put that on you. Do you want to take that on? No. Okay. So when those get proposed, and they will, I'll see a few, and you're not going to be the only one if you're watching this. I'm going to mention that, okay, to watch the video, because what I used to tell my Arizona State students, what qualifications do you have to solve global warming, to solve climate change? Now, we all have to start somewhere, but I know I've sent in a couple of emails probably to say, if you're going to jump and right away work on solving housing crisis, and a lot of people did, so I'm not picking on anybody here, nationally, I mean, it's akin to, I want to be a pilot, so I'm going to jump into a 747 right off the bat. No, you're going to go into a Cessna two-seater flying lawnmower, and you're going to get a few hours in that, right? It's the same way if I'm going to, I'm not going to pontificate on brain surgery. I'm not qualified, okay? Now, it doesn't mean you have to be qualified in this class. I'm just saying take it down to something, okay? Because I believe that to sit back and try to solve some big issue means what you're going to end up doing is gather information that is enlightening to you. Okay, it's common knowledge probably in the field you're looking at, but you're going to be enlightened. Well, that's not what we're doing, okay? Number two, you're going to end up probably saying what should be done, The government should do this, people should do that. But it's not going to do anything. But then there's that out that a lot of people use, like, well, I'm just going to have social awareness. We're going to have awareness. Okay, but how many times have you seen any social awareness programs and acted on that? Acted on it. That's the difference here. I want you to be able to get off your, keister. I want to tell you a little personal story. My son was in his 30s, early 30s. He and his fiance were very much opinionated about Israel-Gaza, very much so. Me being as old as I am is like, I don't know enough to have this. And so he texts me, he said, Dad, why aren't you texting? Why aren't you tweeting anything? Why aren't you retweeting anything? Why aren't you doing this? I said, really? You're going to be mad at me for this? Let me tell you a story, my son. It's about walking the talk, okay? So when I studied cultures and I did African studies, I went out into the field and I worked as a mentor and a guide and an instructor for resettled refugees here in Phoenix, okay? I didn't try to solve wars and immigration and colonialism. I went out into Phoenix and I volunteered and I made the lives of some resettled refugees better by making them not only feel more welcome in a strange culture, but to adapt to that culture, to understand the differences and how we mitigate these things. That's what I'm talking about, walking the talk. And I told my son, you ever say that to your dad again? No, I said that, and I really clammed him up, because anybody can sit here and retweet, re-X or whatever, right? So that's what I'm saying, that in this course, if you can accomplish something, and that's what I'm telling people, is there a park in your neighborhood that could use a cleanup, a refurb? Could it use security and families to play there and things? Is there, we talked about basketball courts. What would be involved in more of that community services? What about a community center? Can that be used for a game night for teenagers? Can there be services offered to a particular group of unhomed people? By the way, that's the new term, just to let you know. It's either unhomed or I forget the other one. But the homeless, what happens there is, get this, check it out. When you say people are unhomed, you're adding an adjective to people, right? When you're saying people are homeless, you're identifying them as homeless. That's their identity. So we're trying to stay away from that being an identity as much as a condition. Unhomed is a condition, okay? That's just my 2 cents worth. Again, I don't want to, oversensitive, but you could probably understand the reasoning behind that, right? So your topic then, I like to look local. I like to look at something that can actually, I've had students last session, 2 sessions ago, doing an institutionalized racism in a local school, district or school. She identified some courses. She identified what it would take. You have to talk to the district. So you're going to have to do something. You can't just gather info that's already existing, put it together and say, here. Remember back in middle school, if the teacher said, I want you to do a research report on the Titanic. I mean, did you go and rent a submarine and go into the North Atlantic and actually gather original data? No, of course not. You compiled information that was already out there, existing information. You put it together. You're enlightened by it, about icebergs and currents and weather and strength of steel, and you turn that in. Here's my research. Well, again, that's a loose term of research, loose definition. Okay, and I don't want you to have to go all out and start from scratch, but I want you to understand the differences. It's not a either or as much as it is a continuum, right? So when you're problem solving for social change, it should start locally, right? If there is, the low voter turnout in a certain area, what are the causes? What are the characteristics? What are the dynamics? First, you're going to have to look at an issue that's actually, you can articulate a problem. You have to articulate it. And then you look at the dynamics involved, the causes involved, the characteristics involved. And then you consider how you could solve it and who you're going to need involved with that, right? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. So think of it that way more than just a big issue, because big issues don't get better grades. I guarantee you that, right? Keep coming. Look at my comments that I'm going to leave you, and shoot me an email. People have been pleasantly surprised. I've been getting back to them right away. Unless it's after 7:30 p.m. Phoenix time, then I'm a little dicey. I'm kind of knocked out, all right? So thanks again for watching. Those of you that are, those of you that haven't, you're not watching anyways, but I'm going to tell you to watch. Thanks.